I would like to welcome from the Minnesota Frost, head coach Ken Klee and captain Kendall Coyne Schofield. Just give them a moment to get settled in and on camera, and we'll continue. And Kendall, congratulations. The Frost are back in the playoffs with the opportunity to defend the Walter Cup. Ken took a couple of must-win situations for the team this week. Maybe just your thoughts on that and what you look forward to in a rematch of last year's semifinal against Toronto.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. Obviously, the parity and competitiveness in our league is second to none. I mean, when you have basically second through fifth, we're all 50. They ended up with half wins, so 500 record basically. I mean, it skews a little bit with the points, obviously, with the 3 points, but that's just how razor thin I think our entire league is, and we're certainly privileged to get the chance to compete again.
Kendall, similarly for you, just your thoughts on the team, how the Frost were able to rally together when the wins were needed, and just your feelings and excitement heading into a rematch against Toronto beginning Wednesday night at Coca-Cola.
Yeah, I think we knew what was on the line those last 2 games on the road, and still on the road and continuing on the road, and we're looking forward to being back in the playoffs.
Take questions for the Frost. I see a couple of hands, but a reminder to folks who are new joining, please use the Zoom console to raise your digital hand. I'll call upon you individually, ask you to unmute, kindly introduce yourself, and proceed with questions. We'll begin with Jerry Zgoda, please. Jerry, you're still muted if you're trying to speak.
You got me?
Yep, all good. Go ahead, please.
For Kendall, Ken yesterday said situations like that show just how great of players that he has. What's it like to look around the locker room and down the bench and see all these Olympians, collegiate champions, world champions, and how does that translate into the way you guys have played, with the season on the line the last couple of years?
It's a great feeling to look down the bench and see the depth in the roster that we have. And I think it's, regardless of what people have accomplished prior to, being on the Frost, it's the belief in the room. It's the belief in our depth that we have what it takes to accomplish our goal. And, you look around the room and you see that when we put on our purple jersey night in and night out.
Any follow-up question, Jerry?
No.
Thank you. We'll go next to Mike Ganter, please.
Hi, Kendall. Mike Ganter from the Toronto Sun. I almost feel silly asking this because you did go on to win the championship last year, but you start come into these playoffs in a very different way than you did last year. How does that feel? Is it any different coming in with 2 big wins behind you rather than sort of the way you came in last year?
The goal doesn't change. The way we play doesn't change, and how we get there, I don't think necessarily changes. We know, how hard it is to win in this league night in and night out. As Coach mentioned, the parity is incredible. The league is so tight, and every game is going to be a hard fought game, and I don't think that changes as we head into the playoffs here.
All right, and for Ken, you've seen Toronto obviously as much again this year as you did last year. How much has this team changed, and how do you see those changes?
With us or with them?
Them.
It's a little different, I guess, but like I said, the league is so tight. I think if you looked at their score sheet, obviously missing Natalie Spooner was a big loss for them early in the year, but now she's back. I know she scored a couple of shootout goals the other day, so she's finding her scoring touch, which I think we all knew she would, but it's still, it's going to be a tough battle. We know that. We know, starting out on their ice, it's going to be tough. We know, it's the first team to win 3 games, and it's not easy to do, and it's not easy to get there. Right now we're just trying to focus on game 1 and being excited to get there.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Mike. John, then Kyle, please.
Hi, Kendall. John Worrell with the Associated Press. Congrats and congrats to you, Ken. For Kendall, just how much did last year's playoff first round help in knowing that even help prepare this team for this year in any way, knowing that you can overcome these kind of deficits, and is there any advantage to being the defending champions?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, that's why you play the game. We needed to win 2 games in regulation to get to where we're at today, and we did that. And so, I think when I look back and think back to last year, it's just how hard it is to win a 5-game series and to do it twice. I think that for me that was unique in itself. And but as Coach mentioned, we can't look past game one, and it's going to be an exciting atmosphere, an electric atmosphere, and we're looking forward to it.
And just quickly for Ken, just how much do you think your team might be better prepared this year than last year in any way that you've seen, from your vantage point?
Well, I think kind of Kendall touched on it. I think it was kind of the first time that any of these players have been in a 5-game series setting. A lot of them have played elimination games, gold medal games, Olympic gold medal games. So it's just kind of a one and done, which is obviously a highly stressful situation, but also, just going through seeing the same matchups night in and night out, team, night after night playing the same team. It's a grind. It's what makes the playoffs so great. It's what makes, being able to win a championship so great. So, I think we, with the players who we had here from the team last year, I think, they remember that it's, they know how hard it's going to be because of the series and because of how it works. So we can take a little bit from that, but, the same token they can take from it too, because they, a lot of their players were involved in that 5-game series as well.
Thanks.
Right,
Kyle
Kyle?
Cushman. Yep. Kyle Cushman with the Score. Question for Ken. Sophie Jakes continues to impress. What has impressed you most about her season? And looking since she joined your team mid-season last year, what has impressed you most about her development?
I think she's just a player who's a gamer. I mean, she wants the puck on her stick at critical times, and she wants to go make an offensive impact all the time. So sometimes we have to rein her in a little bit on that way. But she's a phenomenal player. I think her defensive skills have gotten a lot better in the last year and a half. I think she defends much better. Her patience in her D zone, knowing that she is such a gifted offensive player that she's excited to go when she can, but yet she can still defend when she needs to. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think she's had a phenomenal year for us, and we're certainly looking forward to her being a big part of us, in this series.
And for Kendall, 5-on-5 scoring has been a big strength of your team and for yourself personally. How does that apply to a big strength going into a playoff series when things get even tighter?
I think the way it applies is that majority of the game is played 5-on-5. Not to say that special teams aren't critical and crucial, and are going to be in the playoffs, but I think it's just knowing most of the games played 5-on-5, we need to excel in that area.
Thanks, Kyle. We'll take our next question. We'll go Haley, then Melissa.
Thanks, Paul. I'm going to ask this of Ken. Actually, thinking of special teams here, Toronto's power play is #1 in the league. And maybe it's a silly question, but how much of a focus is it going to be for you guys to give them as few advantage looks as possible, knowing they've got players like Renata and Daryl Watts who kind of do a lot of their work on the power play?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. We're gonna have to try to stay out of the box as best we can, but obviously they're gonna have opportunities. So we just need to make sure our, I think a big strength for us last year was our penalty kill really got dialed in come playoff time, and we had an unbelievable run. I think we need to have that same mindset that we need to, when they get their opportunities, we need to do the best we can to shut them down, help our goalies, keeping them to the outside, not giving them clean looks. But, they're great players. So they're going to get their looks. They're going to get their opportunities. We just got to, try to do the best we can to slow them down in that regard.
Are you happy with how your goalies have played? I know last year that was such a huge topic in the first round and in the finals, just the ability that you had to swap basically 1A, 1B goalies. Are you feeling just as confident in that tandem heading into this year in the postseason again?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I mean, Nicole has played lights out the last 2 games, and obviously and Maddie played great in her last start. So I mean, she basically lost 1-0 in a game that we played well. It just New York's goalie played excellent and shut us out. So yeah, we feel very good about where both of them are at right now with their games and their confidence level, and we know that we're going to need both of them. So we're excited about it.
Thanks, Haley. Melissa, go ahead, please.
Hi, all. Kind of a twofold question here, but can you take us through what your schedule looks like for the next few days? Like, it's Sunday night. Obviously, you've got to travel. And, what's your timeline like for getting to your opponent? And with it being Sunday night, I know this was a topic last year around this time with kind of a short window of time to, find out where you're going and then get there and make plans and everything. Do you feel like this was an adequate amount of time before you have to now travel and get ready for your next opponent?
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to that a little bit. Obviously, we're still. I actually have a meeting in about 45 minutes to continue to try to figure out our exact plans. But we had a little bit of ease this year in that we were already on the road, so we had kind of made the decision that if we got to where we wanted to be, we were just going to kind of stay on the road and hang and wait and see, because there's no sense flying all the way home to turn around and fly back. So we stayed in Boston today. Some of us went to the Red Sox game. Some of us, saw family and friends. Some of us just kind of hung out. I think all of us were doing laundry, which is kind of a normal thing for a 1-week trip is now going to be a 2-week trip, which is fine. So, yeah, so, in that regard, I think we're kind of a little more used to it. And I think it benefited us that we did finish on the road on the East Coast. So it's obviously a little bit easier travel now that we're on this side of the country. So.
And we'll go back to Mike, then Jolene to wrap.
Sorry, Paul, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, Jolene.
Kendall, I know last year we talked about this, about the psychology of getting picked as the opponent, and does that fuel any fire? Can you talk about the reverse, the psychology of not getting picked, but didn't want to face you?
I don't think the
Not sure
the
if that came through
mental.
with my internet.
Yeah, I think I got what you said. Yeah, I don't think the mindset changes. I think at the end of the day, you control what you can control, and for us, that was winning a hockey game in regulation yesterday, and being told if we were driving or flying tomorrow, and then we get on that bus, we get on that flight, whatever it is, it's a flight now, and so it's just continuing to focus on what we can control and putting our emotion behind that.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks, Jolene. Thank you to everybody for your questions, and certainly appreciation and congratulations once again to Ken and to Kendall and the rest of the Frost, as I said, who have the opportunity to defend their Walter Cup championship title beginning Wednesday night when they visit the Scepters for Game 1 of the PWHL Playoffs at Coca-Cola Coliseum.